Lost on Everdark. Christian and Julian returned successfully from Moonfall, much to the great relief and delight of Damon and Balthazar. They returned just in time for the US government to mount a raid on Ravenscroft Manor. Now we turn to the aftermath. Episode 129, Making History. Christian threaded his way through the soldiers in the garden. They seemed to populate almost every chair, bench, and bit of grass around him, and the house was even more packed from what he could see. The battle hadn't lasted very long. The soldiers had been unarmed quickly by the Wyvern. The Wern and the Asher vampires had pinned the soldiers in place after they had been disarmed. A wolf, growling in one's face, would do that. Not to mention invisible bonds holding one immobile did that too. There were also Caemorn's skeleton animals, which had the soldiers so freaked out that they had frozen in place. The siren had swept in and sung the soldiers to sleep, so that they could be easily carried from the streets and brought into the estate, so that no civilians could see them. The soldiers were awake now, but the siren were humming calming songs, and Iros was seated among them in case they tried to do something foolish. Though with their leaders all captured and in vampire hands, both those that Julian and Damon had found in the vans and the ones that they had found in the midst of the fighting, Christian thought that they had enough reason to stay put. Their means of escape were also limited, as their vans were already being driven out of sight and stored in garages owned by vampires all around the city. If one simply looked at the streets surrounding the manor, it was as if the raid had never happened.
Those who knew they were coming tonight will know that something is wrong. We'll find more out from the leaders, I suppose.
He was just about to continue his way to the manor when Christian saw Elgar coming through the back gate. Elgar had been leading a group of Iros vampires around to the neighbors' homes to make sure that if anyone had seen anything, they quickly forgot it. Balthazar had placed blocks in most of the neighbors' minds not to notice anything that happened around Ravenscroft Manor. But still, Elgar had gone out with a dozen of their blood brothers and sisters to ensure that these blocks held. A raid was relatively memorable. Christian waved at his blood brother. Elgar had, of course, Iros's skull tucked protectively against his chest, but he smiled and made eye contact, briefly, with Christian as he came to Christian's side. The soldiers who caught sight of him in his ill-fitting sweatpants and sweatshirt, with the skull in his arms, leaned away as he walked past them, as if touching him might give them a disease.
How goes it? Neighbors practicing the hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil routine?
Christian asked. This was the first time he'd had a chance to speak to Elgar since his and Julian's return from Moonfall. Of course, Elgar had known of his absence, but Christian was still shocked when Elgar curled his free arm around Christian's shoulders and embraced him for a brief moment at least. Elgar almost immediately let him go and stared down at the skull, and not Christian. You returned. I am glad. Master was very upset, Elgar stated as he stroked the smooth dome of Iros's skull. As was I. I have already grown fond of you, and Julian, so even if it were not my duty to keep you both safe, I would have worried. Christian felt a stab of guilt at this. Being a part of this family meant that there were more people than ever to worry about him and to consider. But going to Moonfall was not a choice. Not really. And it ended up with the best possible results. He was still boggling over the fact that Caemorn was the true Callie. He was so relieved by it, actually. The Callie slicers that they had met had seemed like a half-mad child, and to have such power in the hands of people like that, well, it didn't bear thinking about. What these Callie slicers had already done was likely the least of what they would do. But Caemorn was not mad. Not now. And not in the future that they'd seen him in.
And we're friends. All three of us, Julian, me, and Callie. How strange.
But Christian then focused on the friend in front of him. Elgar was swaying slightly from side to side. The damage done to this amazing vampire by the loss of Iros, and that time in the ground, was incalculable. Would Elgar be happy, or feel betrayed knowing that Iros had understood and accepted his own death in order to undo the damage that Callie had done. He might have taken that knowledge from himself, but he'd known.
I know it was hard, Elgar, and I'm so sorry for the hurt I caused you, Balthazar, and others, but I had to do it. It was for the good of all of us.
Christian tentatively reached over and touched the skull in Elgar's hands.
I also know how hard it was to lose Iros in the past, but what happened, it had to happen in order for us to get here.
Elgar's eyes lifted to his. He felt his blood brother's desire to touch his mind and know everything, but Elgar held back. You have not yet told our master everything that occurred in Moonfall? Elgar asked. Christian shook his head.
No, not yet. Haven't had a chance.
Then I will not look. I will not know before our master, Elgar stated. Balthazar could have just looked through his mind, and Christian thought he would later, but there was so much going on in this present moment that Balthazar wanted to wait. When he found out everything, Christian thought Balthazar might have to sit down for a full week to absorb it. He would also somehow find a way to make this knowledge into something he could tease Caemorn about endlessly, but also as a weapon at other times. He would have to caution his master about that.
This will be a huge shock to Caemorn. He seemed glad to know who he truly was in Moonfall. He seemed wiser, older, but a little sad too, though that may have been simply because he was seeing us go.
Christian thought. He saw Caemorn now, standing near the rose garden. He was patting the head of a skeletal bear that pawed at his leg, like a pet might wanting attention. The glowing blue eyes in the bear's skull, though, made the skeletal animal far more scary instead of cute. Caemorn's head lifted, and he turned towards Christian, keenly aware of being watched, even without the Iros gift. Christian waved at him. He inclined his head.
How did I not see that he is Callie before this? He even has the mannerisms of the immortals.
One of Caemorn's skeletal animals padded past Christian. It was a wolf. It lifted its head and appeared to pant. Christian gingerly touched its skull, which caused it to give a happy shake before it went on patrolling the soldiers. Caemorn had ceded control of some of them to various other Callie vampires, including Lizette, who gazed upon the soldiers with disinterested silver eyes, while the soldiers cringed away from her. Lizette also smiled and inclined her head when she saw his attention was upon her. He gave a brief wave. You have great power in their eyes, Elgar said suddenly.
In whose?
Christian frowned. Everyone's. You are the best friend of the prince. The king adores you, and you are the child of Iros, though they are less inclined to love you for that, Elgar said softly.
I'm not really interested in politics, Elgar.
Christian stated with a touch of discomfort. I know, but you have the ear of many powerful people, and the world is changing around us faster and faster. Elgar gestured to the human soldiers. They both watched as Sophia, carrying a tray full of cups of water, was offering them to the bewildered and frightened soldiers. Christian didn't have to read the soldiers' minds to know that the last thing they had expected was for the vampires to be offering them drinks, unless, of course, it was blood. One of the soldiers, a guy who looked not much older than Christian, took a cup from her and then did a double take as he clearly saw how young she appeared.
What's a kid doing here? What are you doing here?
The soldier asked her. He attempted to grab her arm, but Sophia deftly stepped out of reach.
You're a little kid. These people are... they're...
Vampires!
Sophia filled in for him helpfully, and then smiled, showing her fangs.
We're all vampires. Well, Dr. Stone and the other acolytes aren't, but still.
Kid vampires?
The soldier looked ready to faint.
Oh, you don't look well. I think you need Dr. Stone.
Sophia sounded alarmed. She cast about until she saw the physician who was also making his way through the soldiers, checking for any wounds. She waved at him frantically while calling his name.
Dr. Stone! Dr. Stone! I think he needs your help.
The doctor hustled over to the soldier, dropping down onto his haunches beside the young man. He pressed the back of one hand against the soldier's sweaty forehead and tisked slightly. You're all right, young man. Just in shock. Most of them are, Dr. Stone said.
You're a doc? A vampire doc?
The soldier asked, face going paler and sweatier as he spoke. I'm an acolyte, a human, just like you. Well, just like all of you will be, Dr. Stone said with a touch of not exactly sadness, but something like it. He fears that we will enslave humanity, Elgar whispered.
But we won't.
Christian sighed. Elgar said nothing, and Christian glanced up at him. He didn't have to read his thoughts to know that Elgar wasn't so terribly sure that this wouldn't be the future for humanity.
Maybe this is what I'm here to do in terms of politics. To remind Damon with Julian that humanity needs freedom.
What are you carrying there, Sophia? Dr. Stone asked, inspecting the tray of drinks she had. Water. Well, water is good, but whiskey would be better.
Oh, all right. I'll go get some.
She frowned and pivoted towards Christian.
Christian, come with me. If I take the good whiskey while you're around, Balthazar won't be so mad at me.
Christian grinned.
I don't think he really gets mad at you, Sophia. You convinced him about the cats and all.
Well, yes, but that was fate. He and Mephi are in love,
She said solemnly. Christian blinked. He was really trying not to be jealous of the black cat that seemed to get more kisses than him.
I should be glad Mephi is there to distract him at times, so I'll be able to do my research with Kamorn. Yes, well, my statement still stands, though I will come with you into the house. I do need to—
Go to the dining room where all those military people are.
Sophia's eyes were shining.
History is being made, and you need to be a part of it.
Elgar, do you want to join Sophia and I as we make history? Or at least watch it?
Christian asked. But Elgar shook his head. I must see to things out here. Our king and our master will need me to whisper.
Right. Well, don't work too hard.
Christian patted his arm, which made Elgar smile. And then he joined Sophia. She was skipping, but still managed to carry the tray of water without spilling a drop. He couldn't help but be impressed. He also wondered if she knew about Kamorn.
Not until you went into Moonfall.
She answered his unasked question.
How did you know— Oh, right, precognition.
He said.
Once you went there and came back, the future was settled, and I could see quite clearly.
She said with a happy nod.
Will you tell me what's coming?
He asked, despite himself.
You want to be surprised. Besides, you already have some inklings from Callie himself what's coming.
She told him. They had made it to the French doors into the manor, just as Elena was coming out carrying blankets.
Oh, Christian, you're back.
She looked pleased to see him, but then she was biting her lower lip.
Did you and Julian find his parents' soul gems?
Christian nodded.
We did.
He paused for a moment and added,
Heath wasn't there.
She nodded and lowered her head.
Well, that's to be expected.
Kamorn is Callie. He may be able to retrieve Heath, wherever he is.
Christian pressed a hand on Elena's left shoulder.
Don't give up hope.
She brushed away a tear and drew in a steadying breath.
I should be grateful for all the things we do have.
Elena, the choices you've made are the right ones.
Sophia said quietly.
You've done all that you can to make the future you want. No matter what happens, you should find some peace in this.
Elena's eyes flickered over Sophia's face, trying to read her thoughts from her expression. Christian wondered if she found reading Sophia's actual thoughts as difficult as he did. Her mind was like a mirror that only reflected his own questions back at him. Whatever answers, if any, that she found in Sophia's face or mind, Elena just nodded and walked past them.
We're like the little publisher that could, and do a lot of work for such a small team. Wraith Rain puts out new releases, sales, new art, previews of upcoming stories, and at least 2 free books or manga every month. If you don't want to miss anything, you have 2 options. One is to keep coming back to our YouTube community tab, which we use as a blog for quick announcements and polls. The other is to join our mailing list, where we go into even more detail. The link to both the community tab and our mailing list form is in the notes.
Christian wanted to ask Sophia if Heath was recoverable, but he didn't. Her words hadn't seemed positive to him, but Sophia, like Seer, said and did things that needed to be done. One couldn't read too much into them, though. Christian gestured for Sophia to precede him inside. They hadn't gone 10 feet before William and Isabel popped out of a side room. They too had bowls and glasses, feeding and watering the prisoners evidently. Seeing him and Sophia, William hustled up with Isabel trailing behind, asking,
"Wasn't that fun? We took down a whole platoon, or whatever this is."
Isabel shook her head in amusement.
They can hear you, William. You're freaking the soldiers out again, and we just calmed them down.
William tossed his head.
Who cares, Isabel? The truth is that only time will ease their minds. Or make them more paranoid, now that they know their guns aren't all powerful.
We're just lucky that they came at night and weren't as prepared as they could have been.
Isabel pointed out.
Who says it was luck?
Rajani asked, appearing seemingly out of nowhere, much like a helm vampire.
Are you saying you had some role in this? I would have thought you should have stopped any attack from happening,
Isabel said with a sweep of one arm around them.
We don't control everyone, yet.
The House Winter Vampire smiled almost sweetly.
But we had enough acolytes in tangential places of power that they were able to dissuade a daytime attack that could have proved far more dangerous.
Christian shivered a little at the thought of the doors, windows, walls, and maybe even the roof of Ravenscroft Manor being stripped away during the noon hour. An airstrike could have devastated them in that case.
Exactly, Christian. You understand.
Rajani said, hearing his thoughts.
Someone will think of it, Rajani. We must prepare.
Sophia stated just as sweetly.
Yes, we must. Hopefully the people in the dining room can be convinced that friendship is better than anything else.
Rajani stated as she smoothed her hands down the front of her Jedi-like robes.
Speaking of which, Christian, your presence is requested.
Christian nodded. He'd felt Balthazar's mind touching his, not exactly calling him but keeping a tight line on him. He understood why. But now he felt that his master was keen on him seeing the history being made.
Coming, Sophia?
He asked.
Oh, I must get the whiskey. Do tell Balthazar that it was for the common good for the soldiers to drink his good whiskey.
She looked up at him with such big, almost anime eyes that he laughed.
All right, I will. Don't you worry,
he told her.
What's this about whiskey?
William perked up immediately.
We've been giving them water.
Dr. Stone said it would be good for them,
Sophia said. The rest of the conversation was lost as he and Rajani left them by walking towards the dining room, stepping over soldiers and nodding at other vampires. The House Winter Vampire had her hands clasped in front of her, almost as if in prayer, with the sleeves of her robe covering them. Her mind contained a pleasant hum. She wasn't uneasy at all.
Do we have enough people in power to stop a day raid, Rajani?
He asked.
There will be those in positions of power who fear losing their power, or simply fear us.
She answered after a moment.
We just need to be prepared for them.
I bet you wish Damon had given us more notice. He intended to reveal our existence to the world,
Christian said. But she shook her head.
Callie had already done that. The damage was just too extensive to hide. I should have thought about your parents' cell phones. That was how they found us. They will need encrypted ones from now on.
Christian winced. His mother and father were actually in the dining room with the leaders and the others. They were there not only to make the leaders feel a little less like the only humans in the room, and to show that they were not imprisoned or lost on Everdark. Christian was helping to soothe the soldier prisoners after the US military's very failed raid on Ravenscroft Manor. Now the vampires meet with some of the people who think they're in charge of humanity. Episode 130. Listen to my voice. Julian breathed a sigh of relief as he saw Christian enter the room along with Rajani. Their minds briefly touched in greeting.
Everything going okay in here?
Christian asked.
Oh, sure. It's going great. We're making progress,
Julian stated, trying to think of each moment closer to normalizing human-vampire relations. But that collapsed quickly upon itself.
No, not really, no. What's been happening?
Christian asked.
A whole lot of nothing.
Things were a little tense. Okay, maybe a lot tense between the vampires and the humans. Well, Damon seemed immune to the tension as he stared at their human guests with only mild, amused interest. The fact that he rarely blinked, and when he did it was slow and cat-like, was causing the humans no end of distress, though they were fighting not to show it.
Are you trying to freak them out, Damon?
Julian asked the Vampire King. I do not know what you mean. Damon professed innocence. Julian actually turned in his chair.
You don't know.
Damon gave him a smirk. I am enjoying this. I want to understand these people. Letting them talk is best.
Okay, but they've been stone-faced so far. It's like a standoff here.
Julian sighed. The two groups were at opposite ends of the dining room table. Damon sitting at the one head with Balthazar to his right and Julian to his left. Arceus was on the other side of Balthazar, while Seer was beside Julian. Arceus got up and offered his seat to Christian, who was going to wave it away, but Julian felt the mental request from Balthazar for Christian to settle in. Arceus moved behind Damon to lean against the wall, which is also where Rajani and Fiona were. Christian's parents were almost in the exact middle seats between the vampires and other humans. Christian's mother hugged her son, while his father smiled broadly at his boy across the table. On the other end of the table, in the head seat, was Colonel Warren Munro. To his right was FBI Special Agent in Charge Catherine Goodell. To his left was a man that wore black and grey fatigues with no name tag or insignia, but through looking into his mind, Julian knew he was Special Operative Stephen O'Connor with the CIA and several other clandestine agencies within the U.S. government. In the very center of the table, on it, in fact, was Mephi. The cat was attacking a bit of ribbon while everyone, when they weren't looking at one another, was watching the kitten tussle with its enemy that seemed to include its tail. Despite the ridiculousness of it, or perhaps because of that ridiculousness, Julian approved of this kitten centerpiece. After all, who didn't watch videos of cats? It was somewhat of a common ground. It made the vampires seem more human. I think Mephi needs treats, Balthazar said with a frown. He's tiring himself out. He needs more energy, although things could get a little too ridiculous. Fiona sighed as she pushed off of the wall.
I'll get them. Anything else?
Water. Mephi needs water, Balthazar insisted.
How do you know that? Are you guessing?
Christian asked, even as Balthazar's arm snuck around his waist and pulled him close.
Or are you reading Mephi's mind?
Trying, Balthazar admitted. But his mind is, well, it's like that bit of ribbon all over the place. But I definitely think water and treats are in order.
Is that a vampire cat?
Colonel Munro asked. He was a man in his late 50s with a buzz cut of grey hair. He had a craggy face with acne scars pitting his cheeks. Heavy lips and a broad nose completed the picture. Vampire cat? He'd love that, but alas, no. Cats can't be turned, Balthazar said with a put-upon sigh. Julian was certain that Balthazar would be so devastated when Mephi died that he might have Caemorn animate the bones for him. That would be a little creepy, but Julian could totally see it happening.
So, cat treats and water. I'll be right back,
Fiona said, and teleported. All the humans except Christian's parents started when Fiona disappeared.
I never thought I would see the day when she would get you anything, Eros.
Seer chuckled.
You've been pulling her hair for as long as we've been together.
Balthazar kissed Christian's nearest temple as he said, She's succumbed to my charms.
Don't let her hear you say that,
Arceus warned with a rumble.
or you'll find crushed cat treats in your bed.
Could you remind her that it's my bed too, Arceus?
Christian requested.
I shall.
Arceus promised, which had Christian smiling and Balthazar scowling. Well, you are my better half, Christian, so I suppose I won't take offense that Arceus wouldn't defend me to her. Balthazar lilted.
Well, you can defend yourself quite well.
Arceus stroked his beard. He was in his full-on all-leather and spiked collar order regalia, with his big bare arms revealed by the leather sleeveless shirt. The CIA Special Operative Stephen O'Connor seemed fascinated with his bulging muscles, though not in a romantic way. Arceus was big. So was Damon. But Arceus looked like a berserker from the past, which he, in fact, was. From a brief glance into his mind, Julian found O'Connor sizing up the vampires in the room and was finding each one an oddity. The only similarity between them was the predatoriness. But not all were muscle-bound like Arceus. Rajani seemed a slip of a thing, but O'Connor was sure she'd shiv him as much as smile at him. He found Seer utterly unnerving, certain she'd poison the water in front of him. Fiona, with her ability to appear and disappear at the drop of a hat, was most certainly some kind of assassin. Balthazar was a dangerous playboy type that would appear all languid and dreamy before becoming razor-sharp and deadly. Christian seemed like a sweet boy who would strangle him the moment his back was turned. Damon was... O'Connor wasn't sure what Damon was, but Damon appeared the most inhuman. And as to Julian himself, he found Julian the most dangerous, which shocked Julian utterly. The reason? Julian appeared so likable. Not ordinary by any means, but someone people would want to have a beer with, hang out with, and listen to. Julian, in O'Connor's eyes, was a threat of the highest order.
So no cat vampires.
The colonel remarked.
That's something.
Have you noticed the dead animals walking about among the troops, Colonel? I don't think I'm relieved that they can't turn a kitten into a vampire.
FBI Special Agent in Charge, Catherine Goodell, remarked. She was holding herself rigidly. Her arms were crossed over her chest. She did not let her elbows or any other part of her touch the table. Julian had an idea that she thought the whole place was contaminated somehow.
I did see the bear thing, yes.
The colonel remarked slowly.
I know it's a shock.
Christian's mother, Elizabeth, said with an understanding smile.
Vampires are real. Who knew?
Evidently your son's best friend knew.
Catherine Goodell remarked with a lifted eyebrow.
Yes, and his parents knew. No.
Elizabeth said as her gaze grew distant. Julian reached into his pocket, where his parents' soul gems were. Caemorn had already promised to start the process of freeing his parents the next night. This one was already packed full. Besides, it would take incredible time and energy to accomplish this. But Julian had no doubt that Caemorn could do it now. His parents would be returned to him.
Aren't Julian's parents dead?
O'Connor asked with a frown.
Prince Julian.
Arceus crisply reprimanded. As always, Julian wanted to wave away the lack of title, but he did not. These people were impressed by rank, so by having to call him Prince Julian, it would just reinforce the idea that they were dealing with the top vampires. Besides, despite most Americans' happiness to have thrown off the yoke of being ruled by a king or queen, they still had some reverence for noble titles for some reason. Further, when Arceus said it in that steely tone with those furrowed brows, even Julian did not want to gainsay him.
Prince Julian.
O'Connor corrected.
Aren't they dead?
Surely you understand that your concepts of dead and alive are not the real ones, don't you?
Rajani asked with a lilting laugh.
After all you've seen tonight, I would recommend you keep an open mind.
Here are the cat treats and water,
Fiona said, as she teleported back into the room right by the CIA operative. O'Connor nearly toppled his chair over, but Fiona managed to grab the back of it and set it upright while only spilling a little bit of Mephi's water on the table. The CIA operative went from moving to sitting incredibly still in half a second. Fiona put the dish of water next to Mephi, who stopped playing with his ribbon to lap some of it up. She put a few treats beside it, before tossing the bag over to Balthazar, who caught it one-handedly with vampiric reflexes. Mephi devoured the treats, licked his whiskers, and then curled up in a ball to sleep.
Now that the cat is fed and watered, why don't we get down to brass tacks here?
The colonel said, threading his fingers together before stretching them out before him until they cracked. You were the ones that attacked us, Balthazar pointed out. So maybe you should start and explain yourselves,
You're vampires.
Catherine reminded him. I'm actually an immortal, as are Damon, Seer, and Fiona. But there are vampires here too, Balthazar explained, which had the woman from the FBI blinking in confusion.
Immortals aren't vampires?
Catherine asked.
The immortals are the 10 original beings who came to Earth and created vampires from humans.
Henry explained, adjusting his glasses.
Are you some kind of vampire scholar?
Catherine asked Christian's father.
I certainly hope to be.
Henry said with a smile.
I answered on their behalf because, like you, I had to understand the structure. I think if you hear it from me, it might be more palatable. Because you're human?
O'Connor asked. Henry nodded.
And because I'm a teacher. If I can get history into the heads of my students, surely I can get this into yours. There are 10 vampire bloodlines, each ruled by an immortal, and every person in that bloodline has the same or similar gifts. Eiros can read and control minds, while Wyvern can teleport, and so on and so forth. King Damon has all those gifts and more.
There was a lot of blinking going on.
Think of them like Harry Potter houses, and that will help.
Julian said. Henry continued.
Within bloodlines, you have houses that are ruled by a lord or lady. Normally, the houses are of one bloodline, but Balthazar's may be expanding.
Well, it's happened. After almost 3 years, we've uploaded the last chapter of the Everdark audiobook to the members' private podcast feed. So it's all there for any member to listen to. If you want to hear the uncensored versions of the chapters with no cuts and no commercials, hop on over to the membership sign-up form. It'll cost you $9.95 a month, and you can cancel at any time. But you'll be able to listen to all 147 chapters of Everdark.
They are clamoring to get in when before I wasn't on their dance cards at all, Balthazar muttered. Christian patted his hand. Balthazar kissed his cheek. Then they both fed Mephi treats, which seemed to cheer up people quite a bit.
I've been authorized by King Damon to explain to you that there are rebellious elements that have caused...
Here, Henry looked at Damon and carefully said,
unrest. They upset the order of things. Humans are unaware of vampires' existence. Clearly, that has changed now. The rabbit cannot be put back into the hat.
So you decided to just reveal yourselves.
Catherine looked disbelieving. We could hardly not do so. But let's get back to you, Balthazar said languidly. Why did you come in here, guns blazing? We broke no laws.
You raised the dead. You killed all those people in the museum.
The colonel barked.
Actually, we saved you,
Christian said with a deep frown.
We stopped more people from getting hurt. We were not the ones that did the rest.
So vampires or immortals or whatever you are weren't responsible for several cemeteries worth of corpses rising up? Or the deaths of all the people in that museum?
Catherine demanded. Balthazar opened his mouth, tilted his head to the side, shut his mouth, and opened it again before saying, technically, yes. There's an immortal and a bunch of vampires responsible for that, which Henry mentioned. But they'll be crushed soon enough. Yet, as a point of contention, are you, personally, responsible for what every other human being does? No? So why is it so hard to believe that we aren't responsible for everything every vampire or immortal does?
So there are good vampires and bad vampires, you're saying?
The colonel asked with a grunt. Really, why so surprised? Oh, you thought we would all be bad, Balthazar said with a sigh as he clearly read the colonel's mind. Still, you could have come to the door and knocked. You didn't have to arrive in a bunch of unmarked vans. That's hardly friendly.
We had no reason to think you were friendly.
O'Connor grunted.
Still not sure of that.
Catherine remarked.
We came here because we see you as a threat to national security. If you think by capturing us that this ends things or something, I've got news for you. There are plenty more of us, and if we don't check in, they'll come.
The colonel jabbed a finger at each one of them.
Oh, we're aware,
Rajani said sweetly.
You've got moles in the government.
The colonel's eyes narrowed.
We have people everywhere.
Rajani smiled broadly as she said this. The three humans shifted uncomfortably. Iros, I want our people to sleep in the Everdark from now on, Damon said as he regarded the humans evenly. I believe things are going to get messy before they clear up. Balthazar gave a quick nod and shut his eyes. Julian heard the command go out. It was like a shiver over his skin. King Damon commands that every vampire return to the Everdark to sleep. Earth can only be accessed during nighttime hours, Balthazar sent. Further instructions will be forthcoming as we deal with humanity. Julian could have sworn that a breeze swept through the room, but it was only a mental one as Balthazar sent the orders to every single vampire. Balthazar's eyes opened, and he was smiling. I'm getting quite good at that, Balthazar said.
At what?
Catherine asked. Never mind. It's our time to question you. Balthazar wagged a finger at her. So your grand plan was to storm my home and lock up everyone you found? And then what? Dissect us? Interrogate us? Oh dear. I see you meant to do all of that. Well, that's not good. Quite bloodthirsty of you, I might add. We'll be starting the Whisper campaign tonight. Damon sent to all at the table but the humans. Shall I summon Elgar? Balthazar asked. Not quite yet. Let's see how much more forthcoming they are about their motivations, Damon said as he reached over and took Julian's clenched left hand and stroked the back of it. Julian hadn't realized he was clenching both fists and shaking a little at what the humans had been planning. If they had come during the day, things might have ended up just as they wanted them. It is all right, my child, Damon soothed. I would never have allowed that to happen. What Callie did was necessary to bring us together. These are mere children, infants, really. They cannot hurt us.
But they wanted to.
Julian found himself crying. We are not like them. We do not simply destroy out of fear, Damon reminded him, and that had Julian flushing. He had wanted to strike out because of anger and, yes, fear of what the humans could have done. But was that not the same thing these three were doing? Would he be any better if he did? We must expect this response at first, Damon explained. Unlike you, who were open to the idea of vampires, they are not there yet. They see us as weapons, not another species they are encountering. Callie did accomplish much here.
Callie, we really need to tell Kaymorn the truth.
Yes, my child, we will. Tomorrow evening in Nightfallen, he'll know everything, Damon said. Julian focused himself on the three humans again.
Why would you think to harm us without finding out more first?
He leaned forward so that both clenched fists were on the table. His purple eyes flashed red for a moment.
Just attacking blindly before you understand what is going on is a sound strategy in your opinion?
Do you really blame us?
Catherine asked as she rubbed her hands together as if chilled.
The things you can do, how can we ever be safe with you?
Safe? Humans are hardly safe from one another.
Elizabeth pointed out.
Having the ability to harm doesn't give you the right to simply storm into a private home and—
Your son is one of them. You can't possibly be able to speak about this rationally.
O'Connor scoffed. Elizabeth's eyes flashed too. Not red, but steely.
This wasn't what I hoped for my son or Julian. But if I ever thought that becoming vampires was a worse choice than staying human, you're starting to change my mind.
Henry's brow was furrowed.
Fear is blinding you to the possibilities. Think of everything we could learn from them. The history they've seen, the things they can tell us, the possibilities of even becoming one of them. Just before they rip our throats open and drink a geyser of our blood.
O'Connor muttered.
If you really think that, why on earth are you saying it out loud?
Seer asked.
Do you want to encourage us?
He can read minds.
Stephen pointed at Balthazar.
So what's the point in lying?
How refreshing. But you're still lying, Balthazar said. And I'm not the only one who can read minds here. That had the three humans gazing about the room nervously. If they thought that by knowing who could do it would allow them to stop it, that fallacy was blown away now.
We've lived among you for thousands of years.
Rajani said.
We haven't destroyed humanity yet. You've done quite a bit of that on your own.
Oh, so Hitler wasn't a vampire?
The colonel asked. Rajani looked pained and said as if to a small child.
No, of course not. Why, of course not?
Catherine asked.
Because you're not only our food supply, so why would we kill you? But also we come from you.
Rajani reminded him.
The kind of destruction that a Hitler or a Stalin or a Mao Zedong committed against humanity would never be our way. We would be destroying ourselves in the process.
So you'll put us in camps and bleed us?
O'Connor snarled.
Again, have we done that so far?
Sia turned her bandaged eyes upon him.
The fastest way to foment a rebellion is to do as you suggest.
Don't you feel any wonder?
Julian asked as he studied each of their faces.
Even when I thought I hated vampires, there was a sense of wonder about them and what their existence meant. Doesn't any of that occur to you? We have vampires who can raise the dead. We have vampires who can communicate with spirits. Forget all the other things we can do. Those things should make you pause and consider. But you would have destroyed all that.
We will study you and keep ourselves safe.
Catherine stated.
So not even a question of coexistence.
Elizabeth looked ill.
Just cut them down or cut them up.
She shook her head.
That's not what the people of this country or the world would want you to do.
People often don't know what's good for them.
The colonel stated.
Can you honestly tell us that we are wrong to consider you enemies? That we are not in danger from you?
Damon spoke for the first time out loud. You are only in as much danger as you choose to be.
So if we bow down to the king, we'll be just fine?
The colonel gave a colorless smile. Damon inclined his head regally. You would be under my protection then. You are under it now, but you do not yet have certain rights.
We're United States citizens. We already have rights that you are currently violating by keeping us here.
The colonel stated stiffly. I don't know. I pretty much think we can argue self-defense, Balthazar muttered. And we have plenty of lawyers and judges in our pocket to make that work. But I don't really think that you want this out in public.
You don't.
Julian realized as thoughts bubbled to the surface.
Elizabeth is right. You know that the majority of people won't want vampires harmed.
They think vampires sparkle.
Catherine said with a flattening of lips.
They'd give you talk shows and make movie stars out of you. They wouldn't understand the danger you pose.
We already are in those professions, Balthazar snorted. We are beautiful, and we are deadly. We drink your blood, and we want to turn some of you. The public knows all that, and is okay with it. In fact, they're thrilled at the idea. Balthazar spread his arms wide. I can hear their thoughts, the thoughts of this entire city, and I can tell you that they cannot wait to meet us. Iros, bring Elgar now, Damon stated. As I was saying, you do not yet have full rights under my rule. Your actions have been in bad faith, Damon told the three of them simply. Catherine's right hand drifted to her throat.
What are you going to do?
O'Connor hissed.
You won't get away with this.
The colonel added,
If you attack us, you're making the entirety of the United States your enemy.
Damon laced the fingers of his hand through Julian's as the door opened, and Elgar came in with his skull. The three humans lurched back in their chairs at the sight of him. We are not going to attack you, Damon assured him. In time, there will be laws about doing this, but you weren't invited, and though you are truly not a threat to us, you are endangering others and yourselves, so we must save you.
Save us? How?
Elgar lifted his eyes from the skull and looked at them head-on. You will listen to my voice. My voice is all you will hear. There was almost a susurrating noise. Julian watched as the colonel, Catherine, and O'Connor's eyes went blank, their mouths parted slightly, and Elgar spoke in a gentle, whispering tone that had harmonics to it. Damon stood up and pulled Julian gently to his feet. Come, Julian. I wish to be alone with you. Elgar has this well in hand. Join us next time for episode 131, Nightvallen.
If all you've heard is Everdark, it is the best quality thing we've ever done, what with the professional actors and all. But there are 2 other audio stories under Memebrship's site. The first is Dragon's Reign, which we are also publishing on YouTube and Spotify as a free podcast. This takes place in a slightly futuristic world where immortal shifters of all kinds live among humans. The romantic couple is a grouchy but powerful dragon King Valerius and new dragon shifter Caden, his golden retriever boyfriend. The public version is on YouTube and Spotify, and the member version is uncut and at least 15 chapters ahead. Then there's The Night Prince, which I am narrating myself. I'm still writing this story, but I have over 50 written chapters on the site and 30 audio chapters. The Night Prince is queer high fantasy with so much going on. I'll just link to the main page on the site so you can see the beautiful artwork and read the summary. This story is currently members only, but the ebook of Night Prince is coming out in early 2025. I should say the first volume of the serial, because as you guys know, I write long.
Last on Everdark. The vampires and humans met, but it didn't go well for the humans as they weren't operating in good faith. Episode 131, Nightvallen. As Julian looped his arm through Damon's, the vampire king turned slightly to look at Balthazar and the others at the table. He was proud of them. They had not harmed one human, despite having the provocation to do so, and having to deal with modern human weapons and ingenuity. These 3 human leaders were not surprising to him in any way. Their behavior was based on fear. Overwhelm the thing you fear with as much force as possible so that it cannot harm you. The problem with that strategy was, if the thing, in this case him, the other immortals and his vampires, were quite a bit stronger than one's strongest attack. Damon smiled at the gentle ribbing between Iros, Seer, and Wyvern, as Elgar expertly whispered into the 3 human leaders' ears, convincing them that aligning with the vampires was the only sensible option, and that each of them had thought of it first. He felt a sense of satisfaction as he saw Elizabeth and Henry drawing closer to the vampire side than the human one. Henry was quizzing Arceus, as usual, with the confessor thrilled to have someone interested in the history of the Order, and any number of things. The Thorns would become advocates in the times to come when parents wondered if they should let their children be turned, when they considered whether they themselves wanted to be turned. It would be very good for humanity to see people who were smart, thoughtful, and empathetic choose immortality. The 3 human commanders were not stupid, not entirely. They had recognized that Julian was the biggest threat, not because of Julian's growing access to his gifts, but that Julian was so likable, so down to earth, so accessible. People were drawn to him. They wanted to be in his light, or they wanted to be like him. He would be a poster boy for change, for wishing for a second life. After all, if it was what Julian had done, it must be good. But despite these later triumphs, there would be tough times ahead, as those whose power Damon threatened attempted to harm him and his. The manor, a sanctuary truly, could not be that right now. Balthazar had assumed that House Ravenscroft would still be on Earth, still be exiled as the takeover of the planet happened, even though he had ordered everyone else to retreat to the Everdark. But no longer. It was time that Iros took his place where he belonged. The others, too. He had been waiting to do this. His strength was greatly returned to him. His child was by his side. It was time to return to Nightvallen. Ah, Balthazar, one more thing, Damon said, and could hardly hide his smile. He was as excited to tell Balthazar as Balthazar would be to hear it. Balthazar twisted in his seat and looked intrigued. Yes,
What do you have in mind, Damon?
Julian asked, his forehead scrunched as he sensed Damon's happiness. Home. Home for all of us. Damon answered as he ran a finger down that forehead to clear it.
Home. Nightvallen?
Julian looked up at him bright-eyed. He searched Damon's face and only lightly touched his mind. Julian was getting better at this, too.
You want to go back there now?
He grinned. It is quite big enough for us to be alone, and the others to have their fun. Do you not think?
Yes, of course.
Julian shook his head. The joy in him dimmed slightly.
It's just the last time we were there.
I know. Damon squeezed him closer. That's why we must go back and make new memories.
Yes, I agree.
Julian nodded.
Balthazar is going to love this? He's like a cat sitting on a hot tin roof waiting for you to tell him.
He is, Damon said, taking in the growing excited confusion in the Eiros vampire. Despite being able to know most anything, Eiros loved to be surprised. He loved it before. Not only would it assuage old hurts of being excluded in this life, but Balthazar had in the past, preferring it above even his own. Most of the immortals had. They all had magnificent palaces in Nightvallen. It would be more than convenient to have Eiros, Seer, Wyvern, and Callie all in one place while they awaited the rest of the immortals to come to their senses or reincarnate. He sent all of this information to Julian.
Bring Caemorn to experience it too.
Julian enthused, rocking a bit back on his heels.
Nightvallen should be the place we tell him everything.
Yes, I agree. With a mental command, he requested Caemorn join them. There was a clatter of bony feet coming down the hallway almost immediately, and Caemorn's voice.
No, not my robes. I've told you that before. Now obey me, bear. Oh, all right, you can lean against me, but wait until we're seated.
There were smirks all around as keen vampire ears caught Caemorn's reproach.
He sounds like you and Mephi,
Christian pointed out with a snicker. Balthazar managed to look affronted, even as he was smiling too. Not in the least. Mephi is not some animated bag of bones. He is soft and sweet, and Caemorn's knock cut off the rest of that paean to the black kitten in mid-sentence. Said black kitten, hearing his name, lifted his head to give a sleepy meow, but then collapsed into a soft heap as Balthazar said, "Come." Caemorn opened the door, and he and the skeletal bear came into the room. Caemorn glided in with his usual economy of movement, while the bear lumbered happily beside him. Everyone's noses wrinkled. The bear smelled of earth and mold. Caemorn bowed to Damon, who returned it with a nod of his head. "Gah! You brought that thing in the house, Caemorn!" Balthazar squawked, looking at the dirt tracked on the formerly pristine floors.
You're allowed in the house, Balthazar.
Caemorn retorted dryly.
Touché.
Fiona chuckled, covering her mouth with one hand. Balthazar scowled at her. "You're laughing now, Fiona, but just wait until that thing crawls into bed with you." She just shook her head, beads clacking, completely unrepentant.
That's not a danger. He will sleep on the floor by the foot of the bed.
Caemorn informed Balthazar coolly.
I'll happily share him with Fiona if she likes.
Oh, I think I'm good with the companion I have, Caemorn.
Her eyes slid to Arceus, and then she looked down at the table.
But thank you all the same.
You're welcome.
Caemorn answered mildly. Caemorn's gaze was on Elgar. Forgetting his discussion with Balthazar and Damon's summons for a moment, his interest was drawn to Elgar's whispering. The skeletal bear leaned against his leg. He patted its head absently. "I wanted you all here, because as with all other vampires, House Ravenscroft also should be moving to the Everdark until things are settled with the humans," Damon said. Immediately all eyes were on him as he spoke with much nodding. "The manor has been found, and it will be the first place the humans look again. This is definitely the first group to come, but not the last," Balthazar muttered as he stared at the FBI agent, the CIA operative, and the military commander with flattened lips and narrowed eyes. "I really like the manor. It was the first place that was truly mine." "I know, and it will be yours again, Balthazar," Damon promised him. But for the moment, it's not safe? No, it's not. Balthazar sighed. I see your point.
How long do you suppose we have until others come looking for these three and the soldiers?
Fiona asked, frowning deeply. Her ability to teleport always made her leery of staying in one place for any length of time. Now a safe spot was no longer safe, and he knew that she would want to leave. But she stays put with her friends, Damon thought. She does not just go for herself. Sia put a finger to her left temple.
The next wave will come in the morning, even after Rajani does her magic with their superiors.
My magic is not very good if it gives us less than 24 hours.
Rajani replied dryly.
On the contrary, my dear.
Sia said with a faint smile.
You are doing the best that can be done. And what happens next is not a hardship. It's quite exciting.
Her sightless gaze turned to Damon. He knew she felt his joy.
Seer totally knows what's happening.
Julian mentally laughed. Of course. Confusion reigned in Balthazar's mind. He had no idea what Damon was going on about. Well, I suppose I should find House Ravenscroft and everyone here a place to tuck in. Seer, you will find room for us at the spire, won't you? He clearly hadn't considered any other place for House Ravenscroft to go. They would be stuffed somewhere, where there was space, where they could fit. He still did not understand his place.
I am happy to give you room anywhere, Balthazar,
she said agreeably.
Though I think that the spire is rather stuffed full. Aren't we, Arceus?
Oh, yes, but we'll make room for everyone.
Arceus said agreeably.
Even with all the confessors here.
Confessors? Oh, yes, of course. All the new little recruits for your little religion. Balthazar groaned and leaned his head back. Arceus frowned and said,
You are one of the immortals, Balthazar. You should take the order more seriously.
Eros has never taken much seriously, Arceus.
Sia said with a laugh.
That's part of his charm.
Yes, but you are all very important to us. Immortals. And you'll need to lead the humans as well.
Arceus stated firmly.
Balthazar must not be so flippant.
Don't be upset with me, old friend. Balthazar smiled tenderly. I will try my best for you. But you can't blame me for dreading being among the faithful. They're so dull.
But they worship you,
Christian reminded him. Balthazar's eyebrows lifted. Well, there is that.
Don't encourage him, Christian,
Elizabeth cautioned. Henry dragged his gaze away from Elgar's whispering and said,
I think he's beyond that, dear. Balthazar is a walking id.
You mustn't gang up on me, Henry, or I won't tell you about my hundreds of years of life this time and my immortality from before. Balthazar threatened.
But you enjoy talking about yourself, so that would harm you more than me,
Henry said with a twitch of his lips.
Dad already knows you too well.
Christian snickered. Balthazar kissed his cheek. Ah, he does at that. Fine. I shall just have to do with the worship of the confessors. No worship for you. Not exactly. I have something else in mind. Damon said, that smile twitching his lips. Elgar, is the first stage of the whispering completed? Elgar, who had been whispering without stopping, went quiet and nodded. Yes, King Damon. To make it work right, I should cease now. They should sleep, and I will continue next evening.
Are we taking them to the Everdark?
Rajani asked with a faint frown.
I would leave them here. I'll have one of our acolytes report on exactly where they are tomorrow for Elgar to continue his work.
We should leave them here, Damon suggested. Balthazar groaned again. Oh, we'll have to empty the place of all electronics. They're going to swarm in here and dust everything with fingerprint powder and be looking through my underwear drawers and—
That's what you're concerned about? Your underwear drawers?
Fiona's eyebrows crept upwards. Some of us have more things than can fit in a handbag, Fiona, Balthazar pointed out.
I travel light because things are not important. It's who you bring with you that matters.
Fiona reminded him. Yes, that's very touching. But I like my silk pajamas, and they will be violated by human fingers, so they're lost to me. Balthazar sighed. And I might remind you that the spire is going to be cramped, so you'd best love being with all of us. We're not going to the spire, Damon said.
Do we have to go to the library to open the gate there?
Julian asked.
I think they'll all burst if they have to wait that long.
No. Do you not remember how I first came to this world? Damon asked. Julian's eyes widened.
You're gonna just open a gate? Right here?
Everdark is the first story, completed at 147 chapters. Everdark Academy, where Kaymorn is a main character, is also completed at 169 chapters. If you want to catch up and go on to Everdark Equinox, the third installment, you can join the membership and hopefully the comment section at the end of the latest chapter.
Right here. Damon led Julian over to the wall. He sliced open his right pointer finger with one fang. His blood welled up, rich and dark, and he traced the infinity symbol, his symbol, on the pristine wall. It glowed a deep red. Damon, why are you smearing blood on the... Oh my. Balthazar's voice cracked as a swirling gate appeared. Where does that lead? Are we...
We're going home, dear.
Sia said as she stood up, grinning from ear to ear. Just as Sophia came in, kittens perched all over her. She was also carrying 2 bags.
I know which room is mine.
Sophia cried happily.
And I love it, mistress. It's the best room.
Of course, my little chickadee.
Sia said, putting a hand unerringly on Sophia's nearest shoulder, missing a cat entirely.
At least until we get to return here, and I get my old room back.
She said with a solemn nod at Balthazar. But Balthazar had staggered to his feet and was staring at the gate as if he couldn't quite believe it. Night, Valen, Balthazar whispered. Tell me that... He pointed. His arm shook. We're going to Night, Valen. Yes, Iros. And your home there is exactly as you left it. Damon told him. I can't remember it yet, but that's all right. It'll be like learning it all anew again. Balthazar was smiling so broadly that he looked ready to cry. He had an arm slung over Christian's shoulders. You've been there, my darling. Is it as wonderful as they say?
Yes, Balthazar.
Christian told him.
It is.
Suddenly, Balthazar blanched as he realized what had happened the last time that Christian and Julian were in Night Valen. Oh, Christian, I didn't mean to. Are you okay with going?
Of course. I look forward to this time not being chased down like a gazelle on the plains, though.
Christian said with a crooked smile.
This time I'll get to enjoy it.
Balthazar kissed Christian firmly on the temple. Brave boy.
Are we going as well?
Elizabeth said.
It would be for scientific inquiry.
Henry added, eyes huge behind his glasses. Of course you are coming. Damon told them. Everyone here is. Kaymorn had been holding himself very stiffly by his skeleton bear, but tried to hide his relief by patting it again. He too thinks he has no place. Damon thought. He and Balthazar are so very alike.
They really are like brothers.
Julian remarked, agreeing with his assessment. Let me just tell everyone the plan, Balthazar said, even as he looked ready to jump through the gate. We need all of our personal effects packed and brought through. Will the gate? It will stay open until the last of our people is through. Damon assured him. Balthazar barely closed his eyes before he was opening them again, already having sent the commands to his people. He really was getting better at this. Follow after us, Damon said as he led a grinning Julian through the gate. Julian gripped him rather tightly when they emerged on the other side. He glanced over at his fledgling.
I really don't like gate travel,
Julian admitted.
My stomach can barely handle it.
We shall have to settle you down then. Damon drew a finger down Julian's cheek. Julian leaned into the touch, but it was then he realized where they were. He blinked and gazed around them.
We're not on the road,
Julian cried. No, my gates lead inside the city itself. All others lead outside, Damon explained. And I brought us here. They were right by his old tomb. Julian was gazing at the structure, remembering. He was as well. No longer was he a stone statue on that slab. No longer was he separated from everyone, starving, alone, hopeless. Julian was suddenly hugging him fiercely.
You'll never be alone again. I swear it.
Julian told him. He rested his forehead against his fledglings. They had but a moment of just the two of them in the sepulchre silence of Nightfallen, before Balthazar's voice burst upon the scene. "By God, it's huge!" Balthazar crowed as he spun in a circle with Christian, gazing at the vast and ancient city of Nightfallen. Mephi, who was on his shoulder, gave out a squeak at the wild movement. He was soothed with kisses.
You're glad it's not quiet. It needs to be alive again,
Julian said to Damon as they watched the other two call out the wonderful things they saw. Or rather, Balthazar called out and Christian nodded and said,
Yes, that's a tower. Oh, yes, that's a dome. Oh, and that is...
You're right. I want it filled with life, Damon said. He brought both of Julian's hands up to his lips and kissed the backs of them repeatedly. You know exactly what to say. Julian's gaze softened.
Truthfully, that's what I want too. When Christian and I first came here, I wondered what it would be like filled with vampires.
Even with all of House Ravenscroft, Lizette's house, and more, it will still be very empty, Damon said.
Yes, but Balthazar will make up for the lack of people with the amount of noise he's making.
Julian laughed. They then went over to Balthazar and Christian to join in on the fun. Balthazar's eyes were shining. His mouth was open in a wide grin as if he were going to laugh. He turned to Damon with that wild, happy look. Finally on the inside. No more an exile. I'm where I belong, Balthazar cried, then blushed. That was quite a revealing set of statements, wasn't it? Damon clasped his left shoulder. They were true. Yes, thanks to you, Balthazar said, then blushed again. This is quite ridiculous. I'm quite ridiculous.
I can't argue with that, but that's part of your charm,
Christian said, as is my raging id. So I'm not sure.
Oh, that was... Oh, I hope I'm not going to be sick,
Elizabeth said as she and Henry came through the gate next.
Mom!
Both Julian and Christian raced to her side. She waved them away as she rested her hands on her knees and breathed deeply.
Oh, I'll be all right. I just need a minute,
she assured the boys, even as Christian rubbed her back.
She was like this for the first 24 hours on that cruise we took,
Henry said, looking at his wife with concerned affection. But his gaze couldn't help but swing out onto the city. His mouth dropped open.
My God, Julian. This is what your parents discovered, isn't it?
Julian nodded and smiled. His right hand slid into the pocket of his pants, and Damon knew that he was touching their soul gems.
Yeah. Isn't it incredible?
Incredible.
Henry let out a dry laugh.
That does not even come close to describing it.
His gaze slowly trailed over the massive towers, the soaring domes, the minarets, the pyramids, and more.
No wonder they believed this was going to change the world. Knowing vampires are real is one thing, but that still puts them in the human world. Here...
Henry just shook his head, amazed at it all. At that moment, Fiona and Arceus arrived through the gate. They were arm in arm. Fiona's gaze swept over the city and up to the night sky that was spangled with stars. Her lips parted.
It's more beautiful here, isn't it, Arceus?
She asked. Her hands traced the lines of the buildings.
I don't know. It feels more alive.
Arceus nodded. He hadn't blinked once since they arrived. Damon knew that to Arceus, Nightfallen was close to second to him in the man's belief system.
I've never seen anything like it.
Arceus breathed.
And we're going to call this place home?
Can you believe it? Balthazar chuckled and elbowed Arceus.
I see you're not worried about your underwear being fondled.
Fiona's lips twitched. I told William to make sure to grab all of it, Balthazar told her. She just shook her head. Seer and Sophia were the next two to arrive. Seer's long white gown trailed behind her as she immediately glided towards his old tomb. Sophia put the bags down and followed after her, simply adorned with the other kittens. Damon came too, as Seer touched the doors of the tomb.
We left you here, alone,
Seer said softly. There was no other way, he said, even as he had been bemoaning that fact not too long ago. But he knew it was true. She rested her forehead against the cool marble.
I hated doing it all the same, knowing what you were going to go through.
What we all went through, he stated. Your part has been very hard.
But I knew, mostly, how it would end.
She said with a wan smile.
I truly will be able to rest here and regain my strength.
He held her for a moment. Yes, Seer, rest. At that moment, Rajani and Elgar stepped through the gate. Rajani's quick and intelligent gaze took in everything with one fell swoop, or so it seemed. She was smiling in moments and nodding her head with approval.
Now this is a place to launch an empire from,
She said simply. Seer snorted softly.
For a vampire of her age, she is truly like one of the conquerors of old.
Indeed. I am glad she is on our side rather than the other Callies, he said.
Yes, quite so.
Seer agreed. Elgar, who really had eyes only for Iros's skull, did look up, and his gaze fixed upon the direction of Iros's palace. His lips opened and trembled for a moment. There were tears in his eyes. Christian and Balthazar were immediately next to him, soothing him. It's all right, Elgar, Balthazar said as he patted his elder fledgling's back. I'm here. I'm safe. We're all safe. Yes, Elgar said as tears trickled silently down his cheeks. I just never thought we would return to this happy place, Master. Christian hugged him.
If you want, you don't have to leave it.
But Elgar shook his head. I must whisper to make sure that everywhere is a happy place. Finally, a figure walked through the gate. It was Caemorn and his bear. The creature lumbered after him, but still, he seemed so alone. Damon was not surprised when Julian immediately went up to him. Damon took leave of Seer and Sophia to join them. Caemorn's face was curiously expressionless. But that was not because he felt nothing upon seeing Nightvallen. It was because he felt too much and was hiding it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Julian was saying to Caemorn. Caemorn's eyes traced the tops of the buildings.
Yes, it is. Indeed, it is more than I thought it ever would be. I wish to explore, but sleep tugs at me. Where will I be staying, King Damon?
Damon smiled at all of them. They gathered round as they were curious about that too. Will we be staying in your palace? I'm guessing it's that big one in the center, Balthazar said, rocking back and forth on his heels. You all, of course, have a place there with me, but you also have your own domains here, Damon said. He tilted his head back and closed his eyes. There was a flash, and lightning struck nearby as he used the Horus gift to light the sacred flame on top of the Iros palace. He opened his eyes. All were looking at where a brazier atop a many-domed structure to the south of Damon's residence was now lit up by a bright yellow flame. That is your palace, Iros, Damon said. Balthazar's mouth worked. That's huge. Yes, it is. Damon smiled. It suits you. And you have a large bloodline. Balthazar kept blinking. Damon brought down another lightning bolt, which lit up another brazier atop another palace, but this time with a green flame. This one had lean, tall towers with air bridges connecting them. It seemed almost to float. Fiona, that is your palace, the Wyvern Palace, Damon said. Fiona put a hand to the center of her chest.
It's beautiful. It feels like...
Like home,
Arceus asked. She nodded and quickly blinked back tears. Though you already know which one is yours, Seer, we must identify it for the others, Damon said, as he brought another lightning bolt down and a brazier filled with blue flames atop a structure with many minarets and a labyrinthine maze of other buildings. Seer was smiling.
I cannot wait to see inside again.
Finally, Damon turned towards Caemorn, who was waiting with that oddly expressionless face turned towards him. He brought the lightning again, which lit up a brazier atop a structure of white stone and much stained glass with sculpted towers. that reached into the air as well as those that delved into the earth. The flames were orange. That is your palace, Caemorn. The Calais Palace, Damon said. Caemorn went more rigid, if that were possible, as if he were reading between those lines. He tilted his head to the side, opened his mouth, but then shut it again. Instead, he turned to Julian.
I am certain that you and the king will wish to be alone and enjoy yourselves, but I need your parents' soul gems to start the process of...
Before Caemorn could get all of the words out, Julian had taken the soul gems out of his pocket and placed them in Caemorn's outstretched palm without hesitation. Julian then held Caemorn's hand with the soul gems in it, which had Caemorn's eyes widening a fraction. That was the equivalent of an emotional shout from him.
I trust you,
Julian said, with all the sincerity in the world in his voice.
I trust you, Caemorn.
I will prove you right to trust me, and I will bring your parents back.
With that, Julian let go of Caemorn's hand and went to Damon. Damon curled an arm around his fledgling's waist. Go and explore, everyone, Damon urged. Enjoy yourselves in Nightvallen. Join us next time for episode 132, Your Palace or Mine.
In Everdark, Caemorn started as the villain that you love to hate, and then became many people's favorite character as Caemorn's complex and painful backstory came out. It turns out that my readers love a redeemed villain even more than I do, and my members demanded that Caemorn get his own love story. That's exactly what I'm doing in Everdark Equinox, the third installment in the Everdark story world. If you love Caemorn, you will love not only Everdark Academy, the completed second installment where he's a main character, but Everdark Equinox, where he literally meets his other half. While you really do need to read Everdark Academy first, you can at least check out the beautiful artwork of Caemorn and Quinn we have so far, and there will be more. Link to the story art is in the notes.
Last on Everdark. As Elgar whispers to the human leaders that being friends with the vampires is the best idea ever, Damon leads everyone to Nightvallen, their new home. We continue the exploration of the Vampire King's city. Episode 132, Your Palace or Mine. Balthazar rubbed his hands together eagerly as Damon and Julian walked off towards the central palace, sauntering like they owned the place, which they did. But I have a palace too. A palace! He felt rather delirious. Oh, who was he kidding? He was delirious, deliriously happy. He took in a deep breath, hands on hips as he surveyed Nightvallen. The city was more magnificent than he'd imagined, 10 times as large as anything he'd seen in the Everdark, and despite it being abandoned, it felt more alive than the spire. The marble was well polished. The gold on top of Damon's tomb gleamed. I wonder if he'll knock that down, Balthazar thought with a grimace. Not a great place for memories for him, let alone Christian and Julian. Christian was staring down at a bit of ground. There was nothing different about it than the rest of the space, but one brief glimpse into his fledgling's mind told him that this was where he had been attacked, right here. Are you all right, dear heart? Balthazar asked him. Christian let out a breath.
Yes, I'm fine. I just feel like a completely different person than when I was last here. It seems like the attack was ages ago.
Yes, Balthazar agreed. Both our lives are hugely different.
Things are going to be difficult for Elena coming here. She senses Heath's passing.
Sia said as she gestured to the spot near where Christian had been attacked.
Are you part Callie that you can sense the remnants of his soul?
Caemorn asked her.
I foresaw this.
She said simply.
All of it?
Christian asked.
Everything?
She nodded.
Well, I should amend that. Some things were unclear, others were fully obscured until decisions were made. But yes, I knew that there would be death here for 2 vampires who attacked the prince and his best friend.
The weight of knowing all that, I can't imagine.
Christian said.
That's why, though I am eager to see my palace again, I am dreading it.
Sia told him.
Because there will be so few of my bloodline, even after we all gathered.
Mistress?
Sophia rested her blonde head against Sia's side, as cats mewed piteously for the immortal's attention. Mephi was a light, asleep weight on Balthazar's shoulder. He liked to think that Mephi was a much better behaved kitten than the others.
You'll make more, won't you?
Fiona asked.
Oh, yes. With all of humanity now as possible members, not to mention the vetting we'll be doing at the, well, let's just say that I have a much better opportunity to find people like Sophia here, who can stand the gift and the ages,
she said. Balthazar drew in another draught of the place. He felt dizzy with it. There's a smell, a scent to this place, isn't there, Christian? He asked as he looped his arm through his fledglings.
A smell?
Christian tilted his head to the side, and his nostrils flared.
It smells fresher here, doesn't it?
Yes, and there's something indescribable. Balthazar rubbed his thumb and forefingers of his right hand together. I don't know. I can't quite quantify it.
Scents often can conjure up the most vivid memories.
Sia suggested.
You might remember some more things here.
Every street does give me this sense of familiarity, almost like I will turn down one and find myself. Balthazar agreed. Sophia had once more picked up the bags. Kittens were hanging off every part of her, but she managed to bobble to her feet.
Can I teleport you to Sia's palace?
Fiona offered, almost a little shyly. Sia was impressive, even though both women were immortals.
Oh, yes, dear, that would be most kind of you. I do find I am a little tired yet,
Sia said with a welcoming smile. You'll come back here and teleport us as well, won't you, Fiona? Balthazar asked. She cast a look over her shoulder with her lips curling up.
You need the exercise. Besides, Arceus and I are going to stay here to welcome everyone from the house and help them with everything. They'll be the ones carrying something other than themselves.
Balthazar had opened his mouth to object to the exercise comment, but she did have quite a good point about directing people. The whole house was frantically packing. It would be convenient to have Fiona and other Wyvern's Ferry people about. Arceus smiled at him.
Besides, Balthazar, you and Christian should see the place first, don't you think?
I suppose. But I want you all there to...
Be amazed?
Christian offered. Yes! Glory in it! I want us all to glory in it! Balthazar spread his free arm wide.
I have my own palace to glory in.
Fiona gazed upon the ethereal structure that was the Wyvern Palace in the distance. Yes, yes, but we must do mine first. Then we can admire yours. Balthazar waved away the Wyvern Palace as if it were made of matchsticks. Fiona laughed instead of becoming angry. She just shook her head.
Oh, Balthazar, may you never change.
I realize I am perfect as I am, he agreed. Christian snorted. Arceus pinched the top of his nose. He had a feeling he was being mocked. Most definitely mocked. But I can show I am a bigger man. Your palace is amazing, Fiona. It really looks like it's floating there. Balthazar admitted grudgingly, as he rubbed his cheek against Mephi's softness. That took some of the edge off the mocking. Her eyes went again to the needle-like towers.
Yes, it is. I just wish...
She stopped and bit her lip as if she had revealed too much. He felt a wave of uncertainty from her. It was an overwhelming wave that he felt he might be crushed under. Don't tell me you're afraid to call it yours. You're so used to organizing things, you'd be running that place even if you weren't Wyvern. Balthazar snorted, trying to express how capable she was at all times, which had been annoying in the past when she wasn't using that superpower to help him. She surprised him by an earnest, searching glance.
You really think so?
He knew at this moment that he could brush off her question with a joke, and she would retreat into herself. But he wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to undo all the progress they had made for a cheap and cruel laugh. He broke off from Christian and went to her. He took both of her hands in his. Yes, but I understand about being uncertain, being afraid of having all this responsibility, people counting on you, things mattering. She slowly nodded.
It's just been a long time, you know. Arceus didn't rely upon me. Caemon ordered me about. I never even took on a junior confessor because I wanted to travel light.
She shrugged, almost helplessly. Her smile was a bit tremulous. He squeezed her hands. We're not going to get used to this overnight, he told her.
No, of course not. But you, at least you have been leading a house,
She said.
You've been taking care of people for a long time.
It's a house of misfit toys. They don't expect much of me, he said, feeling somehow exposed. Her gaze, again searching in earnest, which he had never truly associated with her, was upon him once more.
They're wonderful misfits, and you're the best misfit.
Indeed. He tried to look ridiculously proud, but it sort of collapsed on itself.
You've stepped right up, Balthazar. I don't think you've even noticed. But from the very beginning, you've been willing to do whatever it takes.
She told him. You're making me blush, he said with a shake.
You love compliments.
She reminded him with a grin. But when they're coming from you, they're true, he explained, and felt that rawness of emotion he didn't like to show. She saw it, and there were bright tears in her eyes. But she was smiling, and he felt true warmth and friendship from her, an understanding.
It'll be all right,
She said.
We'll do it together. We'll figure this out.
He nodded, unable to speak for just a moment, before he said, I'm sorry. She blinked at him, completely confused. But Arceus wasn't. Even though his old friend wasn't looking into his mind at all, he knew what Balthazar was saying. What he'd said in the past, but not as well. He wanted to reiterate it here when they were both on the cusp of something amazing and didn't need one another. I'm sorry I was an ass. I'm sorry we wasted all this time being enemies when we should have been friends, he said. I was terribly jealous of you. I was afraid I'd lose Arceus to you, and I couldn't. His throat was tight. I couldn't. After Roan, I just couldn't. She touched his cheek.
You're not the only one. Both of us were jealous of the other. So stupid. I should have been there with you and Arceus resigning from the Order. It was wrong. I knew what Roan had been doing was terrible, and I didn't want to get involved.
She put her hand to her forehead.
God, when I look back on it, I can't believe I was so cruel.
You were afraid, he said. Afraid of losing all that you'd worked for. I had nothing to lose. She shook her head.
It was not my best hour. It haunts me now.
But it's the past. We can let it go, he told her, and let out a breath. That scent in the air was stronger. It was pleasant, like night flowers, cool stone and water. We start here, and we go forward. She lifted her head.
Yes, I want that so much.
Are you really not going to take me to Eiros Palace? He waggled his eyebrows at her. Now that we've cleared the air, for friendship's sake. She laughed, her laughter like music, and wrapped his arm.
No, because I wouldn't deprive you of a wonderful walk with Christian through our home. Now get going, or I'll make you carry Sophia's bags.
Balthazar glanced over at Sophia. She was crying, but happily. Even Seer was dabbing her cheeks with a cloth. Arceus was outright beaming. Christian was giving him this approving, loving look that had him standing taller. Caemon was staring at the tomb, pretending not to be there. Elgar was, of course, looking lovingly down at his skull and smiling. Fiona went over to Seer and Sophia. She put her hands on their shoulders and said,
Don't worry, Balthazar. I'll have things well in hand. All precious things, including your underwear, will make it to the Eiros Palace.
I would expect nothing less, he told her, and the three of them disappeared.
Everdark is 147 chapters long, meaning that there are only 15 more chapters until the end. I just want to remind you that all 9 books and audiobooks are out, and Everdark 9 covers from this point until the end, so you don't have to wait 20 more weeks to find out what happens. Link to the audiobook is in the notes.
Ached a little. Elgar was his fledgling, and he did adore him, but he wasn't sure how to help him. "I am fine, master. I promise," Elgar said, catching his thoughts. He smiled broader at the skull. "I am very happy." "All right. If you say you are, I'll believe you. I won't press as long as you promise to be honest with me," Balthazar told him. Elgar nodded at the skull. "I will always be honest with you, master. I am like a glass through which you can see fully." Balthazar still wasn't sure he was satisfied, but it was as much as he thought he should do at the moment. He clapped Arceus's shoulder again. "Take care of him, won't you?" Arceus put a hand over his heart.
With all I am, Balthazar.
Another squeeze before he broke off and swung around towards Caemorn. "Don't think we've forgotten about you," Balthazar said. "Will you be staying with us or heading to the creepy Calais Palace by your lonesome?" Caemorn arched an eyebrow.
By your tone, it appears you seem to think I would be lonely going to the Calais Palace by myself. I assure you, you are quite mistaken. I like my own company.
"You and your bear," Balthazar said with a meaningful look at the skeletal bear that was nibbling on Caemorn's robes.
The bear's behavior is affection for its master. I did not inculcate in it the need to...
"Adore you?" Balthazar asked. "Be your boon companion? Make sure you're never alone?"
I am most happy alone.
Caemorn growled. "Damn. Well, I was really hoping you'd stay with us," Balthazar said, knowing his words and genuine request would stump Caemorn. He wasn't wrong. Caemorn blinked very slowly at him. If Caemorn were a cat, that would mean he loved Balthazar. But his blood brother was just incredibly confused and hiding it so as not to appear weak. Christian was suddenly by his side.
We realize that you likely have to establish your place over at the palace, or think you do, but I agree with Balthazar that I'd like you with us.
Caemorn stopped blinking and a faint smile crossed his lips.
Yes, well, you are correct, Christian, that if I don't claim a space as mine, the other Calais will take it.
"Must have the best," Balthazar said, but without a sting.
Yes, and as we won't be having an immortal come and reside there, I think I shall definitely oblige myself of those quarters.
Caemorn said. Christian snorted. Or maybe it was a controlled sneeze that was hiding a nervous laugh. Balthazar frowned slightly. He had no idea why what Caemorn had said was so hysterically funny, or why Christian didn't want the Calais vampire to know it was funny. "Yes, well, I'll mark out some good territory for you in my palace," Balthazar said. A slight lifting of Caemorn's eyebrow.
That would be... nice. I will also make sure that Christian has a place with me as we train.
Are you really sure you want to go there alone, Caemorn?
Christian asked as he turned his head to the cathedral-like building.
If there is something to fear there, I would like to find out so that I can use it to my advantage against the others.
Caemorn remarked.
I just realized that we left Artemis Callie back at the manor.
Christian became rigid. "It's all right. I zapped him before we came," Balthazar said. "He will be transported here and, well, he's going to be in my palace, not the Calais one."
Wise,
Caemorn said with a nod.
They would likely know plenty of secrets about their own palace.
True.
But do not underestimate them.
Caemorn warned. "They likely know about all of my palace's secrets too." Balthazar laughed softly. "Yes, I know, but I'm hoping." He frowned. He almost felt a physical tug from Christian's mind. Whatever his fledgling was hiding was so strong. "I'm hoping they are too arrogant for their own good."
Well, I must go and start preparing to bring back the Harrows,
Caemorn said, and did that weird half-bow which Balthazar almost returned, but just waved.
I will expect my rooms at the Iros Palace to be the best, beneath yours, of course.
Of course. Balthazar's lips twitched, and he wanted to smile instead of sneer. Caemorn then turned on his heel and with his skeletal bear by his side, started striding confidently in the direction of the Callie Palace, without looking for the brazier to guide his way.
He almost acts like he's been here before.
Arceus muttered, and he stroked his beard speculatively as Caemorn disappeared out of sight.
There's a good reason for that.
Christian said. Because he's Callie, Elgar said quietly.
What?
The whats were from him and Arceus. Christian looked over at Elgar with a slightly exasperated expression.
You said you weren't going to look into my mind until after I told Balthazar.
Christian cried. I kept my word. Elgar stroked his skull. It was seeing him here. I suddenly knew. I recognized him. He is himself here, not those crazed, mad things we faced.
There's a reason for that too,
Christian said.
Let me share it with you.
All four of them gathered round in a circle, touching almost like wyvern vampires, as Christian showed them what had happened to him and Julian in Moonfall. After everything had been passed, Balthazar reeled back from the group. He stared down the street that Caemorn had disappeared into, one hand over his mouth. His emotions were all over the place. He, Seer, and Callie had planned it all. Every single thing.
He has no idea.
Arceus cried.
The other Callies don't even know.
Christian shook his head.
They're drawn to him, but they have no idea why. The rage that Artemis Callie expressed toward him as a fledgling is, well, they knew somewhere inside who Caemorn really is, just like they knew about you subconsciously, Balthazar. Both of you are threats to them.
He must be told.
Arceus shook his head. Why? Balthazar asked. Why must he be told? When all of them looked at him with confusion, he explained. He's happy now. He's free of the past. As his power grows, he'll just think it's a natural part of him. He doesn't need the burden.
He's already been told,
Christian said. But he doesn't.
In the future,
Christian explained, moving his hands through the air.
He knows who he is, and he's happy there.
Balthazar put his hands on his hips. This time travel business.
It's not really time travel. Moonfall is simply on another time stream than ours. We go there at the same time, no matter when it is here.
Christian explained.
It was comforting seeing him, how he was, how things are going to be. I got this sense of peace.
And a little melancholy, Balthazar pointed out.
Because he was thinking about all the good times we'd had. Sometimes those are so poignant that they can make you sad.
Christian told him with a wry smile that said he knew those emotions very well.
Seeing the heroes will do that. Joy so keen that it cuts right through you.
So my whole damned plan with Callie was for this to happen. All of this. Balthazar spread his arms wide. Death, rebirth, Roan, all of it.
I don't know if you knew all the particulars, but you were willing to do whatever it took to fix things.
Christian said. That is our master, Elgar whispered. Balthazar quickly turned to Elgar. He awkwardly drew his older fledgling into a hug. The skull was between them. But Elgar went from stiff and unresponsive to melting against him. They were not romantic partners, but Balthazar, of all people, should have known how important it was to have a master who loved his child. Elgar, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. Balthazar cried, meeting Christian's gaze over Elgar's shoulder. Elgar's voice was muffled as he had his face pressed against Balthazar's shoulder. You couldn't, master. The other Callies might have learned it from me. The least possible people had to know. And you suffered more than I. I only wish I had risen earlier to protect you from Roan. Balthazar gave Elgar a fierce kiss on the side of the head. His elder fledgling gave out a soft, pleased sound. Mephi squeaked, as he was being disturbed from his 20 hours of rest a day. He pulled back. So do you think Caemorn will be more insufferable or less, knowing he's Callie? Balthazar asked. More, was said in unison. But then Christian added,
Like I said, he was at peace. Whatever we do, if Callie is at peace, I can't think of much better, because it means the rest of the world must be fantastic.
Balthazar nodded. Must be so. To put a smile on Callie's face, he slung an arm around Christian's shoulders. Let's take a nighttime stroll home. Christian kissed his cheek.
Let's.
Mephi mewed. Join us next time for episode 133, Adapt.
Wraith Rain is completely independent. We don't depend on platforms run by unethical billionaires such as Amazon, YouTube, and Spotify. We don't rely on third-party technology, which could fail at any time, such as Shopify or Patreon. If Amazon or YouTube decided to close our account, it would annoy us, but it wouldn't be the end of us, not even close. As much as we can, we don't place our business in the hands of other people who can deplatform us for objectionable content or for no reason at all. More than ever, it's important to stay out of reach of anyone who can take our voice away. And our members and shop customers are why we can continue to exist. If you are currently supporting us with a membership or shop purchases, just know that you're supporting a 100% independent production.
Lost on Everdark. Balthazar is glorying in the wonders of the Everdark, but finds more than enough time to apologize to Fiona for their past arguments. Not to mention, it is revealed that Caemorn is Callie. We continue our exploration of Night Valen with Julian and Damon in the Vampire King's Palace. Episode 133, Adapt. Julian stared at Damon's palace with open-mouthed awe and delight. Taking in the whole thing was nearly impossible. It was so huge. Like a massive layer cake, it spread endlessly to the sides and rose impossibly upwards into the night. It had elements of Greek and Egyptian architecture, along with many other styles that he only half recognized and didn't know the names to. The central part of the palace appeared to be a gigantic step pyramid, with other buildings attached to it, as if they had grown organically out of it. There were sweeping balconies with classical Greek columns. There were hanging gardens that allowed waves of greenery to flow over the walls. Night blooms, as large as his head in every color imaginable, erupted from elegant stone planters, their delicate, heady scent perfuming the night. There were long, glass-enclosed rooms that simply jutted out into the air so that one could view any part of Night Valen unimpeded. He saw arched galleries and majestic multi-storied rooms with inlaid panels that were works of art in themselves. There were domes of crystalline glass and towers so tall that they appeared to be spearing the night sky. There were so many questions in his head about what came first. Did Damon and Immortals bring these styles of architecture to Earth? Or did they take what they found there over the ages and bring it here? Considering how long it seemed Damon had been asleep, it almost ruled out any other possibility than that they had introduced humans to them.
So much for ancient aliens.
Julian snorted.
They were really ancient vampires.
The palace was not dark and dead or cloaked in dust and debris of ages long past, as Julian had expected it to be. It was clean, pristine, and well lit. When he and Christian had come here, none of the buildings had any lights on. They had been closed and locked. It had reminded him of people leaving their homes before a hurricane. They meant to come back, but the places were boarded up tighter than Fort Knox. But that was not the case now. It seemed every single door and window of the palace was thrown open. Julian could see curtains moving in the soft night breeze along many of the gracious balconies. There were warm rays of light shining out of almost every room. He saw the crackling flames of fires in massive fireplaces casting warm pools of golden light before them. There were torches and candles and lanterns all lit, but giving off no smoke. The whole aspect was welcoming, as if the palace was awaiting party guests. Julian half expected to see servants flitting about in tuxedos with trays of canapes and glasses of champagne from room to room, while others would be making sure that all was ready for the return of the king. Fresh bedding and dusted mantelpieces, along with well-aired furniture and glasses laid out with fresh decanters of blood.
There's nobody else here, right?
Julian asked Damon. The Vampire King had been silent, and had allowed Julian to slow their pace and just gaze upon the palace with large eyes. No, Damon answered simply.
But this place looks like somebody got it ready. The fires are lit. The candles, they would have been burned down to pools of wax since you were last here.
Julian argued.
Did you pop back when I wasn't looking and tidy up a bit? Did you, light some fires, air out the rooms?
No, my darling. The Everdark is merely welcoming us. Damon pressed a kiss to Julian's temple and held him tighter.
Wait, so the city's alive? What do you mean? Are there werewolves like Tarn and Faroon changing bed linen, or?
Damon laughed and rewarded him with another kiss, which was quite nice, but not really an answer. The Everdark makes itself into whatever I need. The palace is ready for us and guests. He still wasn't quite sure how that all worked. Was it like that house in an old 1970s movie he saw that repaired itself? Perhaps. But it was magic. So maybe he didn't need to understand. Maybe all he needed to know was that the Everdark lived for Damon, became more alive for Damon, and adapted to please him.
Guests? This place is so huge, it seems like all the vampires on Earth couldn't fill it.
Julian remarked with a shake of his head. There won't just be vampires and immortals here. We will need humans to sustain us as well. We cannot expect Iros's acolytes to provide all we desire in terms of blood. Damon mused. Julian nodded slowly.
It's still weird and hard to think of that. But I drink from you, and you need to drink from a lot of people to sustain yourself, so…
You are worrying that it is like slavery. But it is not like that, or will not be, Damon assured him. People will want to do this.
In the hopes that they'll be made into vampires?
Julian grimaced. Some, for sure. Others will simply enjoy the experience of being fed from. I know dear Dr. Stone is not a fan, but he is among the minority, Damon told him. In the coming time, we will not need people in high places to cover up our mistakes. Our existence will be common knowledge. Only those who wish to be acolytes will be. That had Julian feeling rather better. With a rather rueful look, Julian admitted,
I feel like a hypocrite, Damon, because on the one hand, I don't want to prey on anyone, but on the other, I feel like I need their consent to feed, and that puts me in a human's power. I'm not sure I'm fond of that either.
You will feed from me alone for a very long time, so do not worry about that right now. But you do understand that the human and the feeding relationship is both controlled and in control. If you treat them as people, and not simply food in any case, Damon said.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure it won't be a problem to get humans to join us. You're the king, after all,
Julian said.
We'll have to fight them off, really.
Yes, Damon simply answered with a nod. That certainty, and no false modesty, still made Julian smile and shake his head, even though he knew it was really a profound yes. Damon didn't need to appear humble about these things, even if others would. He was the king, and people would want to serve him. Whatever those people's additional motivations, to please the king was paramount. And there will be servants, of course. Damon continued on his list of people who would exist in the palace and in Nightfallen. We shall need them when representatives of the houses come and take their places here to ask for aid or advice or simply to pay homage. Julian blinked.
Hey, homage? This royalty thing still gets me. I guess people will want to have someone here even with the palaces for the other immortals nearby.
Those palaces will be packed by the members of those bloodlines. There will be much jockeying for space and power. Only the elite of the elite will be allowed in our palace. Damon's expression was quite calm as he thought of that, as if it was quite understandable and he would expect nothing less. Having just met a few of the vampire houses, Julian realized how true that would be. Balthazar would enjoy every second of it, of course. He, the exile, now would have people vying for his friendship, and just to be in the same space as him. Julian hoped that he didn't end up finding the false friendship they offered too tiring, but he realized that since Balthazar had Damon, just like he had Christian, it wouldn't matter so much. There were plenty of people who wanted to befriend Christian and him because of their show, wanting to be near even the barest of celebrities, not caring about them at all, really. But since he had Christian, his heart remained mostly untouched. Balthazar might just enjoy the schadenfreude of it all, but find his true happiness with his real friends.
I'm sure that Balthazar will find a way to take over a wing in the palace, even with his own palace so near,
Julian said with a grin. Yes, I would often find him sleeping in my bed in the past. lolling about, or trying on my clothes, or perched on the arm of the throne. Never in the seat, mind you, but close enough, Damon said with an affectionate shake of his head. Julian's eyebrows rose at the mention of the bed.
Did you and he... Well, I guess you would. I mean, you've lived a long time, and you're clearly close, so...
Yes, we have had a physical relationship, Julian. It is one based on love and trust, but not romance, Damon said with a warm smile. It's nothing to how I feel for you, or he feels for Christian. It was something that was comforting to us both.
Yeah, no, I'm not jealous or anything,
Julian said, feeling a little jealous. But then he shook himself. He knew how much Balthazar meant to Damon and vice versa. They were friends, and sometimes Damon was a father figure to Balthazar. There wasn't any competition there for him. It was something Damon and Balthazar both needed. He would not resent or stand in any way in opposition to their friendship. I'm glad you understand, Damon murmured, as he clearly caught wind of Julian's thoughts. You are my treasure, my one. There can only ever be you.
I run a membership site with exclusive gay romance stories, audio chapters, artwork, and manga. It's like a typical Patreon, but you get a lot more than Patreon normally gives you. This is because I have over 13 years of members-only material to share with my subscribers, not just the stories that I'm working on right now. At the end of the chapter, I'll tell you more about what you get and how much it costs.
Julian just absorbed those words. They were meant in a way that few other people could ever mean them to someone else. They were also incredibly precious. This was Damon saying this, a being who had existed for who knew how long, and somehow Julian mattered to him. The last time they had been in Nightvarland together, he'd thought that Damon was rejecting him forever. It had been a cold, hard wound in his soul. But now, he knew that was not true, would never be true. Damon loved and treasured him. Finally, Julian was able to say,
But Iros is your best friend and longtime companion. I get it. Christian is the same for me. And no matter how much you mean to me, you don't replace Christian in my heart, just like I don't replace Iros in yours. So it's stupid to be jealous, if even for a second.
Nothing you feel is stupid. Another kiss. Julian felt a little dizzy from those words and those kisses. He couldn't wait for his parents to meet Damon. What would they think? They'd be amazed by him. But would they be worried about how entwined he and Damon were? Or would they see their own love in him and the Vampire King? He was going to find out. Caemorn would bring his parents back. In addition to the vampires, there will be the humans who will want to come here representing their governments. Damon continued on with his list of guests again. Julian blinked once more.
Of course. All the world leaders. I mean, they'll want to have someone here too.
There will be embassies, of course, in the city. And I'm sure there will be scientists and artists and media and, well, just people who will want to live here. Damon explained with a broad sweep of his arm to encompass the whole city. Perhaps a lottery. We mustn't let only those with money or influence get here. But everyone should have an opportunity. And then there will be the school, of course.
The school?
Julian's forehead furrowed.
Caemorn mentioned something about that.
Yes, but that's for later, Damon said with one of his cat-like smiles. Shall we go in?
Yeah, definitely.
Julian cried, as he realized that while the outside of the palace was magnificent and worthy of long study, he wanted to see the inside. He'd had glimpses of it through Damon's eyes before, just the bedroom, but there was so much more to see. As they walked towards the low marble steps that led to the magnificent front entrance, a large round fountain with a cloaked and hooded statue holding a pitcher in their arms suddenly started to run. A stream of silvery icy water splashed from the pitcher into the formerly dry pool around the statue's feet. It appeared like the statue was pouring water into the pool. Julian nearly jumped 10 feet into the air and clutched at Damon as the water splashed happily. Julian let out a laugh.
Oh man, that scared me. I guess I'm a little jumpy.
You need not ever be afraid here again, Julian. You are perfectly safe. Damon told him as he gently sat Julian back firmly on his feet. The Everdark will protect you as well, especially in Nightvallen. You are free to wander here without restraint. Julian couldn't help but think of that terrified sprint through Nightvallen from Heath and Selene. But this place hardly felt the same to him anymore, even though his heart was still in his throat about the fountain.
Damn water? Really? Yeah, I guess I feel that. I mean, this place is incredible,
Julian said, though he did keep a tight hold on Damon's arm.
Christian and I just filmed a little bit in here before we met you. I kept thinking how people were going to love seeing all this. I also thought, of course, that it would expose vampires, so I suppose both are true if we actually showed the footage.
I think your viewers will enjoy your show when you start filming it again. Everdark is the perfect location for that, Damon said. Julian brightened.
You really want Christian and me to do the show? Here?
Of course. It will be very important in how we recruit people for the school, and in how people generally view us, Damon said.
Again with that school.
But Julian wasn't about to be waylaid with questions about that.
I could totally see doing a show on someone deciding on whether they want to become a vampire.
Yes, and the benefits of each bloodline. Damon nodded along with him.
We could start with, so, you know you want to be a vampire, but what bloodline would be best for you? Well, here today we're going to talk about the Callie bloodline, and then we'd interview Kamorn or something.
Julian said, deepening his voice as the announcer.
And again, maybe Lizette would be better. Kamorn might scare people. Everyone's going to want to be an Iros if we interview Balthazar. I'll have to beg Fiona to come on with him, just to balance him out.
He charms everyone. I always had to counsel him to not grow his bloodline too large, Damon admitted. When you know what someone thinks, you can tell them what they want to hear. He has to remember he cannot give them everything they desire, even if he knows what it is. But he has tried. He has always been on the lookout for interesting people who are a little in need.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Julian bobbed his head.
I think he'll be a little less needy for people since he has Christian.
Indeed. Julian then couldn't help himself as he started to plan what he and Christian would need to explore the Everdark and all the interviews they could do. It was both overwhelming and amazing.
We got to get a ton more cameras here, and our computers for the editing software.
Julian listed out.
Mics and the right lighting. I want to look at everything and really map it out, you know? Show people how amazing this place is, and all the people.
Damon chuckled indulgently. Of course. It is a good thing you are a vampire because what you see above, he gestured all around them as they mounted the steps, is nothing compared to what's below. He made a flick of his wrist to indicate the ground. Julian's forehead furrowed as they reached the two large heavy doors that were carved with a scene of Damon on a throne.
What's down below?
Damon's red eyes flared with amusement. You shall see, but perhaps not tonight. They strode together through the doors, and Julian's breath caught in his throat. They had entered a domed room. The ceiling was made of glass so he could see the eternal night sky above them. A massive chandelier, sculpted to look like constellations, hung down from the center of the room, casting this remarkable silvery light that reminded Julian of starlight captured, illuminated the whole of the room. The floor was that familiar white stone, but an infinity symbol in black mosaic inlay was centered beneath the chandelier. Julian looked at the mark on his wrist happily. They were the only two to have it. They would likely be the only two who ever would. He cast his eyes around them. The walls had inset panels where there were sculptures of creatures from the Everdark, and beautiful men and women whom he assumed were vampires, or maybe the Immortals, as one did look like Seer. There were large vases all filled with blood-red or white roses. The scent was heady, and he drew in deep draughts of it. Ahead of them was another large staircase, as broad as the doorway behind them that had led into the palace. There was a blood-red runner that covered the steps and led up to an arched doorway. Beyond it was another room that had Julian stepping towards it. Julian squinted as the room was mostly dark.
Is that?
The throne room. Come, I want you to see it, Damon said softly. Still arm in arm, the two of them went up the carpeted steps and walked into the throne room. It was rectangular, with the narrow end the entrance, and at the far end was the dais. The moment they set foot into the room, Fire whooshed to life along grates that lined the base of the walls. There were more whooshing sounds as grates 10, 20, 30, and 40 feet above their heads lit up. The pale white stone was gilded with golden firelight. The floor was white stone as well, but there was a vine pattern that snaked its way from the entrance of the throne room to the base of the dais. There were branches that broke off from the main vine, and at the end of each was a symbol for every bloodline. At the very top, of course, was the infinity symbol. Then there were 3 steps. Before there were 2 thrones on the dais. Julian stared at them with growing confusion. He was surprised that Damon would have another throne there all this time. He had just imagined there would be just one. Damon was king, and the king was Damon. The vampire king made a soft sound, and his arm tightened around Julian's. Julian quickly looked over at him. He was shocked when he saw a single tear trailing down Damon's face. The vampire king was smiling, though, and a quick touch of his mind told Julian that Damon was not upset. He was happy, incredibly happy, bursting with joy, actually.
Damon?
Julian asked, uncertainly. Damon turned and took both Julian's hands in his. You're wondering about the thrones?
Yeah, I thought... Well, I thought there'd be one.
There was only one when I was last here, Damon said, that smile growing even as more tears fell. But now, there are 2. Julian blinked rapidly.
The Everdark, Nightvallen, it adapts to what you need.
And it knows that not only do I need you, but so do our people, Julian, Damon stated simply. The Everdark welcomes you home as the prince. Join us next time for episode 134. Kind of déjà vu.
I've been writing stories for my members since 2010, so I've built up quite the completed story archive in my members-only library. That means if you become a member to support us, but hate to read unfinished stories, you won't be left out. There are plenty of completed stories to enjoy, such as the written versions of both Everdark and Everdark Academy, Dragon's Reign, The Elven King's Blade, Draken, Crimson, and both Merman sequels. All this is yours to read, even if you join us for 1 month, which is just $10. As you know, people like you are the only reason these stories get made, and your support means that we'll continue to make them as long as there's demand. I'll post the link to sign up in the notes.